Welcome to the Defense and Aerospace Report. I'm Vago Muradian in Arlington, Virginia, where we're covering the 29th Annual Surface Navy Association Symposium and Trade Show. Our coverage here is sponsored by Raytheon, and we're joined by Tom Wetherald, who is the Chief of Marketing as well as Strategy at General Dynamics' NASSCO in sunny San Diego. Sir, thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome. Glad you're here.
One of the things, obviously, that you guys have new, we're looking for new things at this show,
Yep.
is this the image that you have of, or the concept drawing you guys have of the new heavy icebreaker. Obviously, the United States Coast Guard is looking at 3 medium, 3 new heavy icebreakers. It's seen as a national priority program. The requirements for that are coming together. The program itself is coming together. Talk to us a little bit about your partnership. What approach you guys are taking to win this sort of really once in many, many decades program.
Well, the Coast Guard just put out a solicitation for industry studies, and that proposal is due shortly. So we have a concept design that we'll be taking into those studies. It may not be the ship in the end, but we needed something to start studying with. And we have a partnership now with VARD, which is a Fincantieri company, but they are certainly one of the, if not the, premier design houses in the world when it comes to polar icebreakers, and I think we've got a very strong offering that we'll take into this study phase, and then in about a year, I think we'll then see what the Coast Guard's real requirements are. But we're very excited to be involved in the icebreaker program.
Yeah, that's right. As anybody who's on icebreaker say, it's the coolest thing going. Obviously, from their standpoint. What are some of the characteristics that you think are going to be the most attractive and appealing for the Coast Guard as you're looking for this? There's an innovative foredeck region you have here that has cargo containers on it, for example. What are some of the capabilities that you guys think are going to be foundational to what the Coast Guard's going to ultimately need?
Well, the only document that is actually out public that even though I've seen some of the spec, some of that information is actually still restricted. So you can look at the operational requirements document, and ice breaking is obviously very important, somewhere between 6 and 8 feet, going 3 knots. The seakeeping is really big. The current polars have a problem with seakeeping, and they're certainly looking for redundancy in their propulsion system. So power and seakeeping is big, and also a scientific capability to a certain extent, but always with the Coast Guard, and they proved this on the offshore patrol cutter. Price is going to be a big factor. And so the purpose of the industry studies really is to look at a lot of the costs of making certain design decisions. And so that will absolutely be the focus and where you're going to make your cost trade-offs.
That's right. I mean, both not just for acquisition, right? But the Coast Guard also puts a premium on lower operating costs. And it's funny. And it's funny you mentioned that seakeeping, because one of the most alarming things about the polar class is a very, very alarming roll rate.
Yes.
That is stunning to most people, even those who've been to sea a lot. Talk to us a little bit also about the MLP program, which now has a new name to it. The Expeditionary Sea Base obviously is another component of that. Talk to us a little bit about where that program is going.
Okay, well, it started with as you said, the mobile landing platform, and we did 2 ships in that configuration, now known as ESDs, or Expeditionary Support Docks. But the 3rd ship transitioned to what was originally known as the Afloat Forward Staging Base, and is now the ESB, or Expeditionary Sea Base. And that platform now has 52,000 square foot flight deck, accommodations for 250, a huge hangar, operations spaces, and is specifically set up to support air mine countermeasures, spec war, and now the Marine Corps. It'll take 4 MH-53s or 4 MV-22s on the flight deck, 2 in the hangar, big aviation capability. But we like to think of this ship really kind of like an F-150 pickup truck with an enormous bed that's 505 feet long, 165 feet wide, and you can put anything in it. So at the moment, we've done 2 configurations. There are other possible concepts for future development of this, but with the advent of the FSA, The Navy has now put out publicly that they're interested in 3 additional ESBs. So, we're very excited to be looking forward to continuing that particular product line, and perhaps doing further developments beyond the 3 in that configuration that we're currently doing.
One of the programs that was very important for you guys was obviously TAKE, very successful program.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in the auxiliary business, you always have been. What are you seeing next in the pipeline? How are you positioning yourselves to win the next lot of auxiliary orders that everybody acknowledges is an important program for the Navy that perhaps has not gotten as much attention as obviously the surface combatants, LCS, et cetera, have?
Well, last summer we won the contract to build the first 6 TAOs. And so we'll take a lot of our TAKE experience forward into the TAO program. And you're right, it's very much our niche. And so in terms of how to win the future TAOs, I think it's absolutely performance on the first 6 ships of the class, and getting the costs in that class down. And if the opportunity presents itself, if we are in fact in an era of a larger Navy, then we stand ready to build additional ESBs and potentially build the TAOs at a faster rate than we're currently on contract.
One of the things you guys prided yourselves on was partnership with Hyundai many years ago in terms of getting lessons learned there to become the most efficient American shipbuilder. You guys prided yourselves on that. What are some of the things that you guys are continuing to work down the cost curve while delivering quality, which is always the challenge in a situation like that?
Well, in our commercial world, we're still partnered with, it's actually DSEC, which until a week ago was a subsidiary of Daewoo.
Oh, I'm sorry.
But is now owned by a different firm, but we still have the exact same relationship with DSEC, and so we are still learning from DSEC's commercial designs and working with the Koreans on process. So we continue that. We continue a very robust continuous process improvement in the yard, and we're looking forward to continued investment in the yard to make things even more efficient.
Sir, thanks very much for taking time to talk with us.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome.